Alright, it is a Wednesday, and being a Wednesday, that means it is also a worth watching Wednesday. Alright, hello and welcome to another episode of Worth Watching Wednesdays. Today our bit of movie news is regarding Blade Runner. No, scratch that, actually it's regarding Blade Runner 2, or a possible sequel to Blade Runner thing. So essentially Harrison Ford in an interview recently said, I'd be up for another Blade Runner if Ridley Scott wanted to make another one. I don't know how I feel about this, because the first one's really good, and part of me is saying, don't touch it, no more remakes, reboots, and sequels, just do something different. And the other part of me is like, the first one was really good, and if Harrison Ford wants to come back, we could have another really good thing. But honestly, I'm kind of 70-30. Like, 70% of me is just going, this sounds like a really bad idea, and it kind of sounds like a cash grab from Harrison Ford, honestly. I mean, he's been doing not the best movies recently, and he's got Star Wars Episode 7 lined up. Just stick with that. Don't try to mess around with other old movies and try to bring them back to life. If they were good, leave them. Plus, the other thing that makes me kind of worried is the fact that we all know what happened last time Ridley Scott tried to continue one of his franchises. We got Prometheus, and that was just weird. But, I mean, I don't know. I really like the first movie, but I'm kind of torn. Just let me know what you think down in the comments. If you'd like another Harrison Ford, you know, Blade Runner 2, or if you're just like, no, for crying out loud, just leave it alone. Anyhow, that is our little bit of movie news for the week. For my review/recommendation, I'm actually going to pull from the comments of the last Worth Watching Wednesday because someone commented and asked me to review/recommend Stand By Me. Now, Stand By Me is kind of one of those icons of, like, the good 1980s movies, you know, with, like, Stand By Me, Goonies, things like that. The plot of it is you've got this group of kids who hear that this other kid in their town died and that his body actually washed up on the river. And so they go out to find this kid's body and try to turn the body in for a reward. It's their little adventure they're going to go on. They want to see a dead body, you know, they're 12-year-olds, it's what they do. And this movie kind of became like the iconic movie for a lot of people's childhoods. I mean, for a lot of people it was the first R-rated movie they were able to watch. Even more people just related to the 12-year-olds because they saw it when they were, you know, 11, 12, 13 and really related to the characters. And I think one of the main things that this movie does that makes it so effective in just capturing people's attention and capturing their affection for it is the fact that throughout the whole movie, the kids in the movie are treated like adults from the point of view of the film. Like, they are the central plot of the movie. They are forming together and on their own without any interference, going off on their own adventure, doing their own thing, making their bonds, getting their way out of situations, doing stuff themselves. I mean, you hardly see an adult for this entire movie. And so that's, I think, really relatable to, you know, younger people who are watching the movie, because, you know, for a kid, if you're a kid, you don't feel like, well, I'm just a little kid, I can't do anything. No, you think you can take on the whole world, for crying out loud. You know, you are your own person, you can do what you want. And this movie, I think, really captures that feeling, really seals it in this great emotional film that works really well. Now, I personally actually did not see Stand By Me when I was a kid. I actually only saw it pretty recently. But I still really like the movie. I mean, I'm a really sentimental person, so anything that kind of reminds me, even in the slightest, of my own childhood is like, And Stand By Me did that for me. I mean, my childhood wasn't quite that intense and exciting, but, you know, there were moments in the film that really was like, oh, I remember when I did stuff like that. I remember, you know, when we'd get together and friends and go exploring. And I guess Stand By Me really captured sort of my mentality as a 12-year-old, like all the stuff I wish I could do, kind of like what I dreamed my adventures would be when I was 12. And so I really related to it, and it just got to me, and I really liked it. Another thing this movie really has going for it is the acting. I mean, Wil Wheaton, River Phoenix, and Corey Feldman are all phenomenal in the movie. I mean, this is some of the best child acting you're ever going to see. The characters are believable 100% of the time. The dialogue just rolls off their tongues. It just sounds real. It sounds genuine. Their emotions are really well portrayed, and they're really subtle, but know when to throw it over the top in a really bad situation. They were just really, really great child actors, and you have this great friendship chemistry between all of them. I mean, the casting department did a phenomenal job with the cast in this movie. Whoever casted it was amazing and found perfect picks for all of the roles. I mean, the cast single-handedly turned this movie from just a 1980s coming-of-age movie into Stand By Me. Now, the thing with Stand By Me is you're really either gonna get it or you're not. Like, I really got it. It related to me really well. I liked it. I'm so nostalgic. I'm so sentimental. I just really liked it. It was a great movie. If your childhood was so radically different from the character in this movie that you can't even relate to them, you're not going to enjoy it as much. I think you're still going to really enjoy the movie because it's such a well-made film. The acting is really good. You can appreciate it just from an objective standpoint. But if you can relate to the characters and really get into the story and it reminds you of your own childhood and causes you to reminisce and stuff, it's just instantly going to become one of your favorite movies, because that's really what it's there to do, is to make the child in you come back out and go, oh, those were the good old days. So obviously I really like this movie. I would rate it an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, I really liked it. If you don't relate to it as well, you would probably find it closer to a 7.5 out of 10, but if you do relate to it, 8.5 all the way. Alright, so that is it for this episode of Worth Watching Wednesdays. Leave a like down below, comment on what you'd like to see me review / recommend next, subscribe if you want to see more, and if you would like to get daily updates on movie trailers, news, and all of that fun stuff, check us out on Twitter at twitter.com/worth_watching. Have a good day.